Hello everyone, thank you for tuning into Vidiot Entertainment Studios for this episode of Vidiot Movie Reviews. My name is Elijah, aka Hagiosonic, aka Nerdlust Daddy, and on today's episode we're going to continue our review series on every North American theatrically released live-action video game movie adaptation. And today's episode should be quite exciting as we're going to review the other 1994 martial arts film Street Fighter. I'm actually very excited about this one. How about you, Pids?
Sure.
Well, let's do this then. Now, Street Fighter the movie was released in theaters on December 23rd, 1994. Kind of looks like they thought this one was going to be a big holiday hit, but we'll see about that. Anyhoosers, at the time, the Street Fighter video game series had seen Street Fighter 2010, Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition, Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting, Super Street Fighter 2, and Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo released. Now, Street Fighter 2010, it's just an offshoot that's an action platformer for the NES, so we're not going to use that. We can also ignore the original Street Fighter because everyone else does. Now that just leaves us with every version of Street Fighter 2, and considering they are all basically the same plot and character-wise, these are all fair game for us. So for the plot, in the games, M. Bison is the leader of the criminal organization Shadowloo. They deal in weapons and drugs, and he has plans for world domination, and in order to bolster his forces, he holds a one-on-one fighting tournament in order to find the strongest warriors in the world and force them to join him through brainwashing. The plot of the Street Fighter movie isn't too different other than they throw out the one-on-one martial arts tournament format, and instead what we get is Bison's plans are still the same, but he's currently fighting in a civil war within the nation of Shadowloo. Upon conquering Shadowloo, Bison plans to move on towards world domination. And in order to do so, he also plans on creating super soldiers to do his bidding. And that's about it. There's no reason to go too deep on this. As soon as the movie starts up, the conflict between the main parties is immediate and clear. And when it comes to the characters' plots and accuracy, we're going to get into that later because there are quite a few of them to cover here. So while the film may not have a one-on-one fighting tournament setting, things are still close to the game, and this works here. Bison is still a power-mad crime lord with dreams of ruling the world. Everyone else in this that doesn't work for him is trying to stop him due to personal motivations. This plot, it gets a pass. Pids, what do you think?
Hawoo!
Setting and world representation. I'm just going to be straight up and say it's almost all fantastic. The setting is within an Asian location that clearly invokes the area of Shadowloo in the games. Almost all the characters look like their game counterparts, and almost every character performs at least one of their special moves from the games. I mean, just take a look at these examples. Dope Vega flip, Hadouken, and 100 hand slap. These are just a few examples. Hell, just take a look at this final shot from the film. Almost all of them look accurate, and while I was watching this, I realized they're all doing one of their victory poses from the games. Absolutely fucking fantastic. This gets a straight up hawoo from me. Pids, what do you think?
Hawoo!
Now, character representation here. Let's start with Captain Sawada. This character never existed in the games current at this time. He was made for the movie and is the worst character in it. His lines are dubbed over due to the actor not speaking English well, and every scene he's in is awful. This guy's just a chit futter. Pids.
Super Chit Futter 2 Turbo.
T-Hawk. Now in the games, T-Hawk is a Native American from Mexico that fought against Bison because he killed his father and brainwashed his girlfriend. In the film, we don't get any backstory on him. He's represented simply as a member of the AN forces, and as you can see, he also doesn't look very similar to the character in the games either. I don't think I can recall him doing even one of his moves from the games. I think they dropped the ball on this one here. Pids?
Chit Futter Dive.
Dalsin. Now, at this time in the games, Dalsin was a pacifist and master of the yoga arts. He entered into the tournament in order to raise money for his village. In the movie, he's presented as a doctor of science that Bison is forcing to work in his lab in order to create super soldiers for him. Doctors are pacifists, so that fits, but we get none of his moves from the games. He doesn't even really fight except for a moment in one scene, and the way he looks also doesn't fit. Even towards the end of the movie, when they attempt to make him look like in the games, it's a poor attempt. Pids, what do you think?
Yoga Chit Futter.
DJ. Up to this point in the games, DJ was a world-renowned musician, dancer, and kickboxer. He entered into the tournament hoping to find some inspiration for his next album. Here in the movie, he's Bison's personal assistant and right-hand man. We get no outfit from the series and zero special moves. He never even gets into a fight. He basically only functions as a foil that Bison bounces one-liners off of for comedic effect. And while I thoroughly enjoyed the screen time in these instances, he's so far off from representing his original character that I cannot give him a pass. Pids, what do you think?
Machine gun Chit futter.
Zangief. The games at this time portrayed him as Russia's greatest wrestler. He was renowned for his size and strength and would frequently train by wrestling bears, which is how he gets the scars all over his body. He enters into the tournament under orders from the president of Russia. Now in the movie, he is one of the main henchmen working for Bison. While this doesn't align with the games, he does look extraordinarily like the video game character. Towards the end of the movie, we even see his iconic outfit. Admittedly, I didn't recognize any use of his special moves from the games, but something about this character still clicked with me. I can give him a pass. Pids, what did you think of Zangief?
Spinning hawoo.
Balrog. The games portrayed him as a champion prize fighter that had been kicked out of professional boxing due to how vicious he was and because he had killed someone in the ring. Being that he was more interested in fortune than fame, he joins up with Bison and becomes one of his lieutenants. Now in the movie, he's part of Chun-Li's crew and is in Shadaloo to get revenge on Sagat for ruining his career. This is a departure from the games, but it's not detrimental. We do see him in his outfit, and we get at least 2 of his special moves represented in the film. There is enough representation here for me to be able to give him a pass. Pids, how do you feel about Balrog?
Dash hawoo.
Carlos, Charlie, Blanca. Here they made the choice of combining 2 different characters, and it's awful. First, we can forget about Charlie. He didn't appear in the games until the Alpha series, and as you can see, he looks nothing like in the games. Charlie doesn't even exist for long in the movie. He ends up being experimented on by Bison as a test subject for his super soldier plans. This is where Blanca comes into the film, and in the games, Blanca had evolved into his physical form due to his plane being struck by lightning and him surviving in the Brazilian wilderness for years. So this doesn't align with the story in the games at all. We do have a similar look here, but in the movie, we get about 1 fight scene with him, and he uses none of his moves from the games. I really think they did him a disservice here. Pids, how do you feel about this character?
Electric Chit futter.
E-Honda. In the games, he's a Japanese champion sumo wrestler, and he enters into the tournament to prove to the rest of the world that sumo is one of the greatest fighting styles in the world. In the movie, he's a Samoan sumo wrestler who works with Chun-Li, and along with Balrog, is attempting to get revenge on Sagat for ruining his career as well. Now, we have a deviation on his story from the games, but he does look fairly accurate, and we get to see many of his special moves from the games. I actually enjoyed this character. Pids, what did you think about Honda?
Flying sumo hawoo.
Vega. Now, in the games, he was a champion cage fighter that had mastered and blended the arts of bullfighting and ninjutsu. Due to his skill and vicious nature, Bison hires him to be one of his personal lieutenants and oversee his assassination operations. In the movie, he works directly with Sagat, who does have dealings with Bison, and is a champion cage fighter in the city. We have a much closer backstory here, and as I showed you earlier, we do get representations of his moves. And just look at this. He looks fantastic. This is a hawoo in my opinion. Piddles, how did Vega work for you?
Back hawoo.
Sagat. The games have him in a role as one of Bison's lieutenants. He is a master of Muay Thai that used to be the local champion cage fighter. He enters into the tournament in order to face Raul, who he suffered a humiliating defeat to in the previous tournament and also received the massive scar on his chest from. In the film, he still works with Bison as he runs the criminal underground in the city. He's also the previous cage fighting champion before retiring and Vega taking his place. I didn't notice any representation of his special moves, but just take a look at him. In particular, look at this shot from the end of the movie here, complete with that chest scar. I think we have a fairly accurate representation of him, and I quite enjoyed it. Pids, what did you think about Sagat?
Tiger hawoo.
Ken and Ryu. In the games, they're best friends who both trained in martial arts together. Ryu enters the tournament to test his skills against the best fighters in the world, and Ken enters due to a long-standing promise to reunite with Ryu for a friendly match to test their strength and progress. In the movie, these two are con men that deal in weapons trading with Sagat in order to try and make money. There isn't really any backstory on them, and eventually they get caught up in the conflict between Bison and the AN and have to choose a side. So we really don't have any alignment with the game's backstory here, but take a look. The visual representation is pretty accurate, especially when they get their iconic outfits, and we also get multiple instances of their special moves being used in the film. I can give them a pass. Pids, what did you think about them?
Hawoo!
Cammy. The game set her up as having amnesia due to having been a previously brainwashed member of Bison's crew who broke free from his control. At times, she would align with Guile to try and thwart Bison. In the movie, she works with Guile as part of the AN forces trying to stop Bison. We do get a special move from the games, and just take a look at this visual comparison. She looks very close, even though she's wearing camel pants. It was a PG-13 movie after all, so I'm sure they didn't want her to show off her assets. Now, despite the lack of backstory, the representation is pretty good. She gets a pass. Pids, what do you think?
Cannon hawoo!
Chun-Li. In the game, she's a master martial artist and an Interpol officer who has it out for Bison due to him having killed her father. In the movie, she is also a master martial artist, but they changed her career background to being a reporter that uses her connections to track down Bison in order to seek revenge for her father's death at his hands. We have a fairly close backstory here, and take a look at the visual representation. Pretty dang good. And I also can't deny the spectacular acting present by Ming-Na Wen of Mulan and Star Wars fame. This is a hawoo for me. Pids?
Spinning hawoo kick!
Colonel Guile. The games tell the story of Guile as a member of the U.S. Air Force. He's on a mission to track down Bison and seek revenge for the death of his best friend Charlie. In the film, Guile is out for Bison due to his crimes against humanity. There is also a driver that relates to Charlie having been captured by Bison, so that fits a little bit. I'd say that his look is quite accurate as well, right down to that American flag tattoo. We even get to see moves from the games like the flash kick. And the acting and fighting from Jean-Claude Van Damme is spectacular as a veteran action movie star. He's a fantastic foil to Bison in the film, and he definitely gets a hawoo from me. Pids, your thoughts?
Flash hawoo!
Last but not least, Bison. The games show him as a ruthless crime lord that runs the criminal organization Shadaloo, and he also has dreams of world domination. In the film, it's the same, only they make Shadaloo an actual place rather than the name of the criminal organization. And just look at this visual representation. It is perfect. We also get representations of his special moves, multiple of them. And I cannot forget to mention the spectacular acting from Raul Julia in his last on-screen performance. He hams it up beautifully and plays Bison exactly as the egomaniacal lunatic should be. This has to be the best performance in any of these movies previously discussed. Raul is absolutely fantastic in every single scene he's in, with his grandiose, egotistical lines. He doesn't just carry this movie, he helps to elevate it to a must-watch. Just take a look at this line from the movie.
For you, the day Bison graced your village was the most important day of your life. But for me, it was Tuesday.
Absolutely priceless, and every one of his scenes and lines is this good. Rest in peace, Raul. Straight hawoo for me. Pids, what about Bison?
Psycho hawoo!
Alright, final verdicts. While there are some liberties here, there are enough similarities that it works. And a lot of the character representation is fairly accurate, particularly when looking at the visual representation and multiple representations of special moves. The acting, except for Sawada's, is actually really good, especially Ming-Na Wen's, Jean-Claude Van Damme's, and Raul Julia's. I'm really not sure why this movie gets such a bad rap. No, it's no Oscar contender, but when you critique and compare it as a video game adaptation, it's actually pretty good. Pids, what are your final thoughts?
Super hawoo 2 turbo!
Agreed. This movie is definitely worth a hawoo. I can easily give it a 7Z out of 10Z. It's surprisingly good all around and a must-watch for the fantastic performance put on by Raul Julia. You really should check it out. I want to thank you all for tuning into Vidiot Entertainment Studios for this episode of Vidiot Movie Reviews. Again, my name is Elijah, aka Hajil Saunet, aka Nerdlust Daddy, reminding you all to not be chit futters to each other. Body autonomy for everyone. Peace, love, and happiness to all. Say goodbye, Pickles.
Goodbye, Pickled.